Welcome to the first ever episode of the Lucid Daily Show, and in this episode we'll be going over the PIF rating, the Lucid flyover, the New York Times review, as well as the Tesla subpoenas that were issued today. So let's go ahead and get started with the very first item of business, and that is the stock price. Lucid stock was down 2.1% today, and they are down another 0.25% in the after hours. However, Lucid was not alone in this. You had Tesla down 1.7%, you had Rivian down 4.12%, and you had NIO relatively flat. Pretty low day for most EVs, and NIO was the outlier with staying relatively flat, which was interesting. So the first piece of news that I want to cover today is on Benzinga. Lucid was the number 10 most searched ticker on Benzinga, like I said, in January, along with the SPY, Tesla, Apple, and more, and Lucid ranked number 8 on that ticker. And as you can see, the 52-week range is pretty wide for Lucid. It goes from 16 to 57.75, so that is a fairly large range for Lucid. The next thing that you have is the Saudi Arabian PIF, the Public Investing Fund. They were assigned for the first time an A1 rating, and obviously that does sound pretty good, but if you do want to know the actual definition of that, the A1 rating signifies that the issuer or carrier has stable financial backing and ample cash reserves. So it also does say that the risk of default for investors or policyholders is very low, so a very secure person to invest into the company. So as you can see here, we had beautiful shots given by Bear's Workshop today. If you want to go ahead and follow him on Twitter or go ahead and support him on YouTube, you're more than welcome to do that. As you can see, the factory is coming along extremely quickly. They're getting a lot of the framing, a lot of the steel up, which is absolutely phenomenal. We will be keeping progress of this throughout the journey. As you can see, the parking lot is full of employees and additional workers around the factory. You see tractors moving around, and you see the factory on the left side, and then you see the parking lot with the Lucid cars up in the top right. We'll get a better view of that here in just a second. Again, this was provided by Bear's Workshop. Another view of it more, you can see how large that second factory is going to be, the second holding spot where they're going to produce the other vehicles. It's a fairly large area, and the more information we get on it, the more information I'll provide you guys. The next thing you have is a close-up shot of a few of the cars that were under the covers. We can't confirm 100% of what these are, so we will continue to wait for additional feedback on that. And Bear's Workshop did get a car count today. He said, we've gotten today's car count from Lucid. Some cars have been taken away and some have been added. At least 9 new cars, but probably more. Total of 96 cars, flyover video coming soon. As you can see here, 96 cars in the parking lot, so it's going to be interesting to see how these move, and we're going to track these as they go. I did message Bear's Workshop, and he did say a lot of these look like the Air wheels, which will be really interesting. I'll go ahead and tell you guys exactly what he told me in my DM. He said that they do appear that they look like Aero Dream wheels. So again, that's not financial advice, but just take that as it may be. John posted a video this weekend going over his experience with Lucid and review and everything like that. So if you have not watched that, go ahead and check that out. But he did tweet this week and he said, pretty impressed with the Electrify America speed. Got about 100 miles in 10 minutes on the Lucid Motors Air. Got to find a 350 next. So Lucid does pride themselves in extremely fast charging, and John was able to verify that. The next thing you have was a really cool article published about Tesla. I actually watched this video this weekend. I'm just going to go ahead and highlight one of the main parts of it. After 100,000 miles, the Model 3 battery's degradation has only fallen 2.2%, which is really good news for all EVs in general, that battery technology has really come a long way. So that's super exciting. That's after 4 years and 100,000 miles. Lucid does tout themselves to have an extremely superior, an extremely advanced battery technology. So it's going to be really interesting to watch how Lucid vehicles do after 100,000 miles in multiple years. Obviously, nobody's put that many miles on their cars yet. The next thing you have is Lucid did post a picture of one of their employees. It looks like her name is Amber, and she looks like to be the senior material flow industrial engineer. And she said, there's no quitting, there's no giving up. We'll have the opportunity to grow in whatever field we're in. Lucid does take pride, it looks like, in showing what their employees' backstories are and where they've come from and how they've achieved the success and the position to where they've gotten today. The next thing is the New York Times actually did release an article on Lucid today, and they did compare it with the Mercedes-Benz EQS, and I do have a couple of highlights that I want to share from that article with you guys here today. It says, this is from Peter Rawlinson, I believe, and it says, you've got a clarity of purpose in being a purely electric car company, he acknowledged, yet There are hardly any leaders of traditional car companies today who would argue that electric is anything but the future. And I think we're seeing that all over the board. Any legacy automaker is definitely making an EV push, and we're beginning to see more and more of those, thus solidifying the mission of these pure EV companies even more. Another quote is, it was put up against the Mercedes dynastic heritage and scale. Lucid is an obscure underdog, yet this blank slate company is an advanced EV tech where it counts. No electric has gone farther on a charge, and no EV has charged faster, adding up to 300 miles in 20 minutes on a 350 kilowatt charger. The Benz fastest charger rate is 200 kilowatts. And then it continues on Mr. Rawlinson continues on with a quote. He says, "We just got 500 miles of range at 70 miles per hour. How did we do that?" Mr. Rawlinson said, referring to a real-world highway speed range test conducted by Inside EVs. That video was recently posted. He said, "We did it by taking a ground-up review of what was possible from an EV." The next part is, he says, among models tested at the 70-mile-an-hour clip, the compact Tesla Model 3 was a distant second at the 310 miles, followed by Tesla's Model S at 300 miles, and the Porsche Taycan was at 297. Inside EVs has yet to test the Mercedes, though my mileage suggests that the Benz can meet or exceed its 350-mile range rating. I just want to clarify that was not Mr. Rawlinson talking, that was the New York Times publisher. A traditional automaker might have set a 400-mile target, achieved it, and moved on, Mr. Rawlinson said. He continues to say, "We actually thought 400 miles would be pretty good, but we found more and more tech," he added. "We finally replaced range anxiety with range confidence." So really cool to see that Lucid is really accelerating in their battery technology. The next, and I believe this is the last quote that we have from the New York Times article, says, "Lucid is also primed to sell many more EVs, many more Airs in America this year, as many as 20,000 from a new Arizona factory." Then the EQS Mercedes sold 443 EQS cars in the States in the fourth quarter. Though that initial trickle might ramp up, the company won't reveal how many it will reach in America's showrooms this year. So that was the end of the New York Times article. I encourage you guys to go read it all if you enjoyed those little segments. Today, Tesla and Elon Musk were issued subpoenas, and Gary Black says, he tweeted this morning, said Elon's November 6th Twitter poll asking whether he should sell 10% of his shares is likely the reason for the 11/16 subpoena disclosed in Tesla's 10K today. The SEC likely wants to know whether the board approved Elon's tweet, which will clearly impact the stock. So you can see Tesla was issued their 10K today, and they also were issued subpoenas on 11/16, and they do think that a lot of that was because of the Twitter poll. A little bit of an update on Rivian. The Rivian R1T, they did receive a software update, and it mainly added tire pressure status to the driver's display, as well as a long list of other improvements such as enhanced infotainment system usability and stability, improved regen at a high battery state of charge, improved DC fast charging curve at low temps, enhanced cabin climate protection, improved highway assistance performance, improved vehicle suspension consistency, and the list goes on and on. So a fairly large update for the Rivian R1T, which is good news to see these EVs continuing to improve. This weekend there was a fire in the Rivian factory. Just a short little snippet from it. It says the sprinkler system did exactly what it was supposed to do, put water on the fire quickly and prevent it from spreading until the fire department arrived to finish the job. Most importantly, the damage was limited to just one vehicle, and everyone was able to get out of the building safely. So thankfully nobody was hurt, but one vehicle was damaged. Luckily there was nothing else that was wrong, and there's still unanswered questions related to what caused the fire. So I hope you guys enjoyed this very first episode of the Lucid Daily Podcast. Consider following me on Twitter and sending me DMs of exactly some Lucid news that you see going on, and consider subscribing. We will be releasing daily podcasts and videos regarding Lucid and exactly the news that is going on. So consider subscribing, as well as hitting that notification bell to be alerted every single day with a level-headed view on exactly what is going on with Lucid and the truth, and exactly everything that is going on around Lucid in the EV sector. So again, consider subscribing, following us on Twitter, and like always, we'll see you next time. Thank you all.